Hi, I'm Debra Mason, and I'm a co-founder and COO of Taboom Media. I'm also an award-winning journalist and a professor who specialized in religion and media for more than 30 years. At Taboom, we work with journalists and activists all around the world to improve media coverage of taboo topics and human rights issues. This video is about how to communicate with faith communities, and it's aimed at activists working on SSOGIE human rights. In it, I'll talk about the importance of being religiously literate, and I'll talk about the how, the whom, and about what you need to know about approaching faith communities when you seek them to affirm LGBTQI+ rights. But first, I want to acknowledge that there's been a lot of pain and trauma caused by faith and religious communities toward LGBTQI+ people, sometimes in ways that cause lifelong physical and emotional trauma. Please make sure that you're always taking care of yourself and thinking about safety and security first, especially when discussing these matters or working directly with the faith community. One of the things that I often start with when talking about this topic in person is to ask people to take a survey of religious literacy. Now, sometimes the results are surprising because in reality, it's rare for people to know a lot about different religions. It's rare for them to understand a religion's history or the ways that politics and culture influence faith's development, or how sacred scriptures are transmitted and translated. Remember that even if you feel confident that you understand and know a lot about a belief system, make sure you have humility about what you may not know and that you find ways to educate yourself. One of the areas that it is best to focus on are sacred scriptures, particularly the translation process. There are literally thousands of different Bible translations and interpretations, and according to some scholars, the word homosexuality was not even added to English translations until the 1940s. Now that's astonishing when you think about it, because it's preached as the literal word of God. Now, some of the other videos in this series focus more specifically on both the Bible and also on the Quran, and you can learn more by watching those videos in this series. Another key point of religious literacy is understanding that there is diversity within a faith community. It's inaccurate to assume that everybody in one religious tradition believes the same thing, and I assure you that they don't. And that's true even when you look at an individual congregation or mosque or temple community. Now, this is really important when we're talking about faith communities because there are literally tens and thousands of supporters of LGBTQI plus rights who are Christian or who are Muslim or who have no particular faith tradition. And so we don't want to assume that just because somebody says they are Christian, or more specifically, say, Pentecostal or Roman Catholic or Anglican, that they disapprove of LGBTQI plus people or that they are not supportive. Well, usually it's most effective to start with one-on-one conversations. A 30 to 45-minute face-to-face conversation with one person. Get to know that person and learn about shared values and experiences. In trying to figure out where to start within a faith community, don't assume that you should start with the top. i.e. the leaders or the clergy or other members of a board or other leadership within a faith tradition. Often you want to start with people who are not necessarily leaders, so you can assess whether or not there's a possibility of becoming more engaged with a faith community in advocacy work. The most effective way, we know from research and from practice from people who have done this work in other parts of the globe and here on the continent of Africa, is to seek common ground. Find out what are the shared concerns that a community of faith or individual people of faith and your advocacy group share. These are some of the issues that most faith communities have viewpoints and perspectives on. And very often their viewpoints and their perspectives interweave and have many common points with the advocacy work of LGBTQI plus advocacy groups. One example of a group that does this on the continent is Emerita. It's an interfaith group that works to benefit the stigma and acceptance of people with HIV throughout the continent. So in addition to useful trainings, they can be helpful in framing and in finding regional partners for you to build common ground within the faith community. Finally, when it comes to working on partnerships between advocates and people of faith, don't work with people who denigrate you directly to your face, who are hateful directly to your face, or who harm you emotionally and mentally. You are worthy of love, and if your efforts to reach out to faith communities are not successful or are met with this hostility, then recognize that and back away and find another strategy or another organization with which you can partner. I thank you very much for listening to this video, and I wish you the very best of luck in what is a challenging but can be quite rewarding area of advocacy. Thank you.